In the distant reaches of the Orion expanse, where light from dying stars barely touched the void, the Galactic Council spoke in hushed tones about humanity, dismissing them as an insignificant, isolated species barely capable of interstellar flight, their fleet slow, their weapons rudimentary, their diplomacy polite but inconsequential, and yet Earth, that pale blue planet clinging to life on the edge of its system, had long been preparing in ways the galaxy could never perceive, hidden deep, beneath oceans, under deserts, and within asteroid belts. Fleets were built, fleets of ships that combined human ingenuity, adaptive AI, and technologies recovered from both ancient ruins and scientific breakthroughs, capable of operating autonomously yet guided by human intuition. And when the first alien probes arrived, expecting easy data collection and trivial resistance, they encountered tactical traps, countermeasures, and an intelligence that adapted faster than any non-human mind could comprehend. And when the reports reached the Star Federation, they were dismissed as exaggerations by field commanders who had never faced humanity firsthand. Yet one fleet, a single armada of human vessels numbering far fewer than any major alien fleet, set out from the Sol system under the command of Admiral Leona Reyes, a strategist whose reputation for unconventional thinking rivaled that of any legendary military mind across the galaxy, and the fleet moved with quiet precision, passing through asteroid fields that masked their presence, utilizing quantum slipstream jumps that left conventional senses blind. And when they arrived in the Hyrax cluster, where the Zolari Dominion had amassed thousands of warships to enforce tribute demands upon lesser species, the aliens were confident that a minor skirmish would crush humanity and secure the region permanently. Yet the humans did not charge recklessly, but instead employed strategies that combined psychological warfare, deceptive maneuvers, and electronic countermeasures that rendered the alien senses useless, creating the illusion of phantom fleets appearing from every direction, forcing the Zolari commanders into disarray as they misinterpreted human movements as far larger forces than existed. And in the midst of this chaos, specialized human frigates targeted command vessels with surgical precision, disrupting communications and sowing panic, while human boarding teams infiltrated key capital ships, disabling propulsion systems and seizing control with minimal casualties. And as word of these tactics spread, the morale of the Zolari fleets crumbled, their coordinated strategies collapsing under the weight of unpredictability and the sheer audacity of human decision-making. While back in the Sol system, scientists and engineers monitored every engagement, feeding real-time tactical data to Admiral Reyes, allowing humans to predict enemy responses and counter them before they could be executed, demonstrating an adaptability that alien minds could not fathom. And when the first battle ended with the destruction of the Zolari Vanguard and the capture of several Dreadnought-class ships, the galactic powers finally realized that humans were not only formidable fighters but masters of strategy and innovation, capable of turning even the most hopeless scenarios into decisive victories. And yet, even as the galaxy trembled at the news, the human fleet did not pause to celebrate, moving seamlessly to the next target, liberating oppressed colonies, dismantling oppressive supply chains, and striking fear into those who had once assumed humanity could be contained, proving that a single fleet, guided by human courage, intelligence, and unity, could reshape the balance of power across star systems, forcing centuries-old empires to reconsider every assumption they had ever made about the species from Sol. And in the void between stars, where countless ships burned and fell, silent, the lesson became unmistakably clear: underestimate humanity at your own peril. For when they decide to act, no number of fleets, no array of weapons, and no council of war can stand in the path of human determination and ingenuity. As the human fleet pressed deeper into the Hyrax cluster, their presence alone sent shockwaves through every alien system. And yet, despite the growing fear, few truly understood the full scale of what humanity was capable of, for the humans were not just soldiers or tacticians, but innovators, thinkers, engineers, and diplomats acting in unison under a single vision. And Admiral Leona Reyes coordinated her forces with uncanny precision, deploying advanced cloaking arrays at master fleets, true size, while drones and automated repair units maintained ships in perfect operational condition even under constant skirmishes. And on board the flagship Horizon, Captain Tariq Malik monitored alien communications, intercepting messages that revealed not only enemy positions but their assumptions, arrogance, and blind spots, feeding this information into predictive algorithms that human commanders refined in real time, allowing them to anticipate attacks before they were launched and when. The Zalari attempted to organize a counteroffensive by converging multiple squadrons on the human vanguard. They instead found themselves isolated one by one, as humans lured smaller fleets into ambushes among asteroid belts, using the environment to negate superior firepower, and simultaneously, stealth frigates disabled orbital defenses of key planets, allowing humanitarian relief teams to evacuate colonists enslaved or oppressed by the Zalari, showing that humanity fought not only with efficiency but with a moral imperative that alien observers could not comprehend, and as this pattern repeated across sector after sector, the psychological impact became undeniable, with entire alien fleets surrendering at the sight of a single human ship entering orbit, and yet the humans never relented, continuing their systematic dismantling of oppressive infrastructure, forging alliances with liberated species, and using captured technology to further enhance their already formidable capabilities. And in private councils across the galaxy, alien leaders debated frantically, unable to reconcile the human ability to combine ruthlessness in battle with ingenuity, adaptability, and compassion, as a fleet moved from system to system with near-perfect synchronization, striking only when necessary, avoiding unnecessary destruction, yet demonstrating a lethal precision that made any resistance seem futile, and when reports came from the front lines describing entire fleets neutralized with minimal human losses, whispers spread of an ancient prophecy among Terran scholars that humans would one day rise to command the stars, a notion that had been dismissed for centuries as myth. Yet now the prophecy seemed to manifest with every engagement, and in every communication, in every strategic deployment, and in every liberated colony. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer a minor species to be ignored, underestimated, or contained, but a force that could, with a single fleet, challenge the very structure of galactic power, reshape alliances, and redefine the rules of engagement, proving that patience, preparation, and unity could outweigh raw numbers, that intellect and adaptability could outmaneuver centuries of galactic dominance, and that in the quiet, unassuming determination of humans, the galaxy had discovered a power it could neither predict nor control. The ripple effects of humanity's campaign reverberated far beyond the Hyrax cluster, reaching the councils of the Zalari, the Arvani syndicate, and the multitude of smaller empires that had long viewed the Sol system as a backwater, and as the humans advanced, their actions inspired whispers of rebellion among subjugated worlds, where alien governors who had long enforced brutal quotas now found themselves questioning loyalty in the face of a species that acted decisively, strategically, and with unwavering purpose. And while Admiral Leona Reyes directed the fleet with clinical precision, the human leadership also prioritized intelligence gathering and diplomacy, sending envoys to liberated systems, establishing provisional governments, and creating networks of allies who could coordinate with the fleet, effectively turning previously passive colonies into active participants in the broader campaign. And as humans engaged in these operations, the aliens' hubris became their downfall, as commanders who had relied on centuries of rigid doctrine could not adapt quickly enough to human unpredictability, and when the Zalari attempted a massive counterstrike against the human supply lines using their fastest cruisers, they were intercepted by autonomous human drones that anticipated every vector, every evasion, and every likely maneuver, neutralizing the attack before it could impact operations. And in the midst of this, human scientists began deploying adaptive, shielding and kinetic field generators that rendered conventional weaponry almost useless, forcing aliens to improvise in ways they had never considered. And yet, every improvisation was met with a human counter, often using captured alien technologies enhanced with human ingenuity to exploit weaknesses the original designers had never imagined, and in one particularly audacious operation, human strike teams infiltrated the orbital command hub of a major Zalari colony, not to destroy but to seize control, redirecting the fleet's movements, reprogramming automated defenses, and using the colony's own weapons against the approaching armada, demonstrating an audacity and tactical brilliance that left even seasoned alien officers in shock. And throughout all of this, the human fleet remained a symbol of restraint and calculated aggression, never overextending, always preserving life where possible, yet demonstrating an overwhelming capacity for destruction when provoked. And as news of these operations reached the furthest corners of the galaxy, the perception of humanity shifted overnight, from a species to be ignored to a force whose potential consequences could alter trade routes, political alliances, and the balance of power. And with every engagement, every liberation, and every tactical victory, the humans showed not only their mastery of strategy and technology, but also a unity of purpose, an understanding that their strength came not from numbers alone but from their adaptability, creativity, and willingness to act decisively where others hesitated, proving unequivocally that a single fleet, guided by human determination and intellect, could change the fate of entire civilizations and force the galaxy to confront a truth it had long ignored. Humanity could not be contained, underestimated, or defeated by conventional expectations, and in the shadows of countless stars, that truth began to reshape every plan, every treaty, and every assumption ever made about the species from Sol. By the time the human fleet reached the Valdari expanse, the galaxy was already abuzz with fear and speculation, and alien commanders who had once treated Earth as a minor threat now convened emergency councils, debating strategies and contingency plans as they watched human ships coordinate assaults with a level of sophistication that defied conventional understanding. And yet, the humans moved with an almost casual efficiency, balancing overwhelming tactical advantage with calculated restraint, using cloaking technologies, quantum decoys, and multivector assault to divide enemy forces, while simultaneously deploying humanitarian teams to secure the safety of colonies caught in the crossfire. And as the Valdari fleets attempted to consolidate their forces into a massive formation designed to crush the advancing humans, they found themselves repeatedly outmaneuvered, forced into ambushes, and deceived by feints so clever that entire squadrons were neutralized before. Realizing they were under attack, and within the human command structure, Admiral Reyes coordinated with her officers not only on fleet movements but on the subtle art of psychological warfare, transmitting falsified communications, feeding misinformation, and exploiting cultural assumptions that cause the alien species to doubt each other, leading to confusion, hesitation, and internal conflict that human forces exploited relentlessly, while on liberated worlds, humans worked to repair infrastructure, provide food, shelter, and medical aid, demonstrating an almost paradoxical approach where the same species capable of annihilating enemy fleets with precision could also protect and uplift, and the news of these actions spread through the galaxy faster than any battle report, reshaping perception, undermining alien propaganda, and inspiring awe, dread, and even grudging respect among allies and enemies alike. And when the humans intercepted intelligence about the Valdari, attempting to develop a new superweapon to counter the fleet, strike teams executed surgical operations to disable production facilities, commandeer prototypes, and integrate captured technologies into their own arsenal, multiplying their effectiveness while simultaneously depriving the enemy of critical assets. And as the campaign continued, the humans revealed an unprecedented capacity for innovation under pressure, creating adaptive defenses, hybrid weapons, and communication networks that allowed near-instantaneous coordination across hundreds of light-years, and throughout this relentless campaign, alien leaders began to grasp a horrifying reality. Humans were not just responding to threats. They were rewriting the rules of galactic engagement, redefining what it meant to project power, and demonstrating that a combination of intelligence, creativity, discipline, and moral clarity could overcome far greater numbers and technological superiority, and in every calculated strike, every liberated colony, and every surrendered alien fleet, the human presence left an indelible mark on the galaxy, a reminder that a single fleet, guided by determination, unity, and unmatched strategic brilliance, had the power to alter destinies, topple empires, and force civilizations to reevaluate centuries of assumptions. And as Admiral Reyes watched the latest report of alien confusion and capitulation, she knew that this was only the beginning, that humanity's potential stretched far beyond even what they themselves fully comprehended, and that in reshaping the galaxy, one decisive fleet had proven a single truth that no alien power could deny: underestimate humans at your peril. The momentum of humanity's campaign carried them to the outer rim systems, regions the galaxy had long considered beyond contention, and yet, even here, humans moved with the same precision, ingenuity, and moral resolve that had defined every engagement. And as fleets of the Arvani syndicate attempted to regroup and mount resistance, they were met with tactics that seemed almost prescient. Human vessels anticipating maneuvers, predicting reinforcements, and exploiting environmental hazards with uncanny accuracy, while simultaneous operations liberated entire star clusters, installing provisional governance and forming defensive networks that not only protected newly freed populations but also provided intelligence and logistical support for ongoing fleet actions. And on board the Horizon, Admiral Leona Reyes oversaw a network of communication nodes, drone swarms, and AI-assisted tactical systems that allowed her to coordinate multiple theaters of operation with the efficiency of a single unified mind. While human diplomats engage in subtle negotiations, turning former adversaries into allies and neutral parties into strategic partners, and as the Arvani attempted to deploy massive dreadnoughts to blockade human advances, they were repeatedly neutralized through a combination of stealth strikes, adaptive countermeasures, and electronic warfare that turned their own weapons against them. And when human engineers reverse-engineered capture technology, integrating it with human designs, the fleet gained capabilities the galaxy had never witnessed, from near-invisible cloaking arrays to kinetic energy projectors capable of disabling entire fleets with minimal expenditure of resources. And the psychological impact of these victories were profound, as alien commanders, long accustomed to predictable patterns of war, now face a foe whose unpredictability and creativity rendered even their most elaborate strategies ineffective. And as news of human victory spread, colonies that had lived under oppression for generations rose in coordinated rebellion, striking supply lines, sabotage installations, and gathering intelligence, amplifying the reach and effectiveness of the human fleet. And within council chambers across the galaxy, debates turned frantic, accusations flew, and centuries-old alliances faltered as leaders realized that humanity's rise was not a temporary phenomenon but a systematic and deliberate reshaping of galactic order. And through every operation, humans demonstrated that their strength lay not in sheer numbers but in adaptability, foresight, and unity of purpose, while their compassion and restraint in protecting civilians underscored a strategic brilliance that combined ethical consideration with operational supremacy. And as a fleet prepared to enter the Arvani car systems, the message was unmistakable. No empire, no council, no fleet could stand unchallenged when confronted with the determination, ingenuity, and resolve of a single human fleet. And the galaxy now understood a truth it had long ignored, that humanity's capacity to act decisively with intelligence and morality had already begun to reshape destinies, topple empires, and irrevocably alter the course of history. As the human fleet approached the heart of the Arvani core, a region that had long been considered impenetrable due to dense defensive networks, orbital fortresses, and fleets on standby around every inhabited system, the aliens marshaled their full strength, confident that their numbers, firepower, and strategic experience would finally crush the soul-born intruders. And yet, humanity responded with a combination of foresight, improvisation, and unparalleled coordination that left even the most seasoned alien admirals in disbelief. And while massive dreadnoughts moved to block human advances, Admiral Leona Reyes orchestrated simultaneous assaults from multiple vectors, using quantum slipstream maneuvers to appear where they were least expected, while drones and strike teams disabled key communication arrays, sowing confusion among enemy command hierarchies. And when the first major engagement began, human ships acted not as individual vessels, but as extensions of a single mind, their movements synchronized with perfect timing, striking critical targets, neutralizing weapons platforms, and capturing strategic points before the Arvani could fully respond. And throughout the conflict, humans demonstrated adaptability that alien strategists could not match, deploying countermeasures against energy weapons, using captured alien technology to predict enemy patterns, and employing diversionary tactics so intricate that entire formations of enemy ships fell into ambushes without realizing they were trapped. And within the core systems, liberated worlds rose to support human operations, opening docking facilities, providing intelligence, and even coordinating planetary defenses, showing that the human approach combined strategic brilliance with social and cultural leverage, a holistic method of warfare that alien empires had never encountered. And as the battle escalated, the psychological impact on Arvani forces became undeniable, with mutinies, surrenders, and retreats occurring even before direct confrontation. And when Admiral Reyes finally directed the fleet to engage the Central Command Hub, the precision and timing of the operation were flawless. Strike teams infiltrating the hub, disabling defenses, redirecting remaining fleet units, and cutting off escape routes, demonstrating not only mastery of strategy but also an understanding of the enemy's psychology. And as the last dreadnoughts fell and the surviving Arvani forces capitulated, the galaxy witnessed a phenomenon never before seen. A single human fleet had not only dismantled a core system, but had done so with minimal casualties, maximal efficiency, and an adherence to principles that elevated them above mere conquerors. And in the aftermath, liberated populations hailed humans as liberators. Alien councils scrambled to reconsider their doctrines and alliances, and across countless star systems, the realization settled like a shockwave that humans were no longer an underestimated species, no longer a backward to civilization, but a decisive, creative, and morally guided force capable of reshaping the balance of galactic power, proving that when humanity acts with unity, intelligence, and resolve, a single fleet can indeed change the fate of the galaxy forever, leaving an indelible mark on history, strategy, and the consciousness of every species that had ever doubted them. In the silent aftermath of the decisive campaign, the human fleet drifted among liberated worlds, their present a quiet but unmistakable assertion of power and responsibility, and as Admiral Leona Reyes surveyed a galactic map, noting former strongholds now under provisional human oversight, she understood that humanity's mission had always been more than mere conquest or retaliation. It was a demonstration of what a united, determined species could achieve when underestimated, and across the former Arvani core, surviving leaders scrambled to comprehend the enormity of their miscalculation, realizing that centuries of assumptions about humans, their technology, their strategy, and their resilience had been catastrophically flawed, and as humanity extended aid to rebuild infrastructures, restore governance, and protect vulnerable populations, the galaxy began to see a new paradigm emerge, one where force was balanced with intelligence, courage paired with compassion, and decisiveness, tempered by ethical consideration. And though fear lingered among alien civilizations, so too did respect and the dawning realization that humans had irrevocably altered the galactic order, rewriting the expectations of warfare, diplomacy, and alliance in a single campaign. And as fleets of liberated species joined human operations, and communication networks coordinated trade, defense, and governance across dozens of star systems, it became clear that the legacy of the Sol system would be defined not only by victories but by the standards it set, proving that even one fleet, acting with clarity of purpose, extraordinary adaptability, and unyielding resolve, could protect the weak, challenge the mighty, and enforce a new balance of power. And in the quiet moments between operations, as the stars stretched endlessly beyond, humans reflected on the journey from obscurity to prominence, knowing that a galaxy would never again view them as insignificant, that history itself had been rewritten by their ingenuity and unity, and that a lesson for every civilization, every council, and every commander was now undeniable. When humanity acts, it does so with precision, intelligence, and purpose, and those who underestimate them will find themselves irrevocably changed, for the fate of the galaxy had been altered forever, and all eyes, across every star system and every civilization, would forever recognize the truth that a single human fleet, guided by courage, wisdom, and unbreakable resolve, could indeed change the destiny of entire worlds, reshape empires, and define the very future of the cosmos.